Okay, so we need to talk. Y25 was inspired by the bizarre world of fake video games by Surprise Patch Wolf, which I saw, loved, and then watched like 3 times in the one day. So, while January was always going to be like a slow month in terms of like, I want to get stuff together, I want to get a few fake games and look over them, I really fell behind with Y24, and so it's going to cut into this month a little bit in terms of how much I get done, unfortunately. The crux of that video came down to the world of Vermis by Plastivu, and both books, because there are two, are available from a publisher in Italy. And I'm currently deciding whether I want the normal version or if I'm splurging on this because it is also being filmed and getting the special editions. I think part of what really appealed to me was the idea of more limitless possibility, because he also, Super Patch Wolf, kind of does this in the form of t-shirts, and Louis Zong does fake video games with music, and I really didn't want to do some music with Y24, and I don't know if there's time for that. Just the sheer breadth of possibility and the sheer amount of skills therein that I could learn or improve really appealed to me. I really did not expect to have this much to say about Y25 so soon, but we do in fact have quite a bit to say. It has been about a decade since I joined Fallen London, which is a game and one that I did really enjoy, but I used my name, the characters for my name in Chinese, as my username, and I got like a really shitty comment from someone that I just didn't know how to report, and so I stopped. But last year, with Y25 on the horizon, I decided I'd go back and join, and I'm having a really good time, and I'm really enjoying looking at, I don't know if it's necessarily the mechanics of the game, but just like the kind of game that it is. And so as part of that, I decided to subscribe for 1 month just to have a look, because there are a lot of storylines that I'm in the middle of that I can't quite progress with. Things like, you haven't unlocked this location, you don't have enough relationship with this group or this person. All things that I'm kind of, I haven't taken notes yet, but they're percolating, and so I wanted to see, what story becomes available for January, and I played that straight through, which was a really interesting experience. And with apologies to the people not on Patreon, I think I'm going to make the write-up mostly available for patrons. It is for the moment front runner of the pack because I do think it is the easiest to kind of mimic and to plausibly recreate without knowing too much about game design. And frankly, if I were going like fully into intentionally learning game design, Y25 would be actually making a game. But I like the idea of this thing that I make this year being as much what I make it and as much the gaps for people, for readers to fill in. For that reason, Otome games are also kind of higher on the list of what this could be, possibly. That being said, one of my favourite games of the past few years has been Monument Valley. I played the first two. I do have a play pass that ends in a few days, and so we're going to have a look at that, probably starting tomorrow. I would like to play through them like 1 to 3, both because I just like doing things chronologically, and also because I think for this project that would be the most helpful way to look at it. But linked below is a playlist that I made for Y25 or inspiration stuff, which is like essays, video essays on different games, quite a few by Tango Mushi, who looks at Japanese games. Both I for Scotland and regular Eye Patch Wolf did a kind of look at games, I think for Halloween, and so I have got quite a few games from that for free that I'm going to try. So I have It Paints Me, which was free on Steam, and If on a Winter's Night for Travellers, which I think was more in passing. I don't think I've actually watched a playthrough of that, so that should be interesting. I'm not saying we'll cover all of this in January, but yeah, we have quite a bit to look through. So, what do we think of this? So, in my bringing more books into this awful mess, one of them is this. It is Fighting Fantasy, which gives me some thoughts. But Fighting Fantasy is also like an actual game, and if I were to make a Fighting Fantasy, I would be making an actual game and not a fake game. But thinky thoughts happening. So I did start watching regular Eye Patch Wolves, Super Eye Patch Wolves, gaming streams again, and it reminded me this dude not only instigated this whole thing with his video, but he also does fake games in a way that is very intriguing, but I don't want to crib for this. He does it through t-shirts, which is an idea that I love, but I don't want to get into the fashion industry, and I especially don't want to do it through this method. I don't want to be dealing with like distribution and, you know, because fashion is complex. You have like the raw material, and then you have the turning that into textiles, and then you have the making of the shirts and like the printing of, and it's an industry that is very easy to lose track of the chain, which is why there is so much bad shit going on in it. Well, no, not the reason, but it is a reason. And I just don't feel confident or comfortable with that. So again, this is kind of blurring the lines a little bit. But I do have to update my rogue. And I do think listen, I hate leveling up. I have never been able to do it well. Thankfully, the site does everything for me, and I don't go out of math because I can't math today. But I do think it's good to kind of practice this kind of thing. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what form to take things, and I keep going back to Fallen London because that's the easiest, but I don't want to do the easiest. So I have been thinking about Mouthwash, the game, and regular Eye Patch Wolf's playthroughs of it, because what he did on his video essay channel, Super Eye Patch Wolf, when he talked about fake games, when he talked about Vermis, the thing that really got me with that was this idea that maybe Vermis is best in its medium as a fake game, that it wouldn't be enjoyable to play as an actual game. I agree with that in theory. I also wrote like an entire log post of this. And it's not necessarily fucking with my head, but it is. I don't really. Being drawn to a medium matters because I really. Some things work in some mediums and some things work in others. And delineating that, seeing what can and can't work, that's kind of part of what appeals to me about doing like Y24 and Y25, like what works where and how. And yeah, I don't feel like I have as solid an understanding as I used to, and so I'm going to end this vlog, I'm going to end this month's vlog now, and I'm going to do it paraphrasing that log. Inspiration is inspiration and it will come when it comes, but I think it's time that I put aside games and looked at my actual medium for this year.